Roll the clip once more. Anything you would like to say for yourself?
Fortune favors the bold. No one lives forever.
The Viking is the Terran's support flyer. They are built from the starport, no matter what add-on you give it. Production cost of $150, $75. Build time of 30 seconds. 2 supply cost. 135 life. 0 base armor, and they are tagged as armored and mechanical. Before I can talk about their attack, I want to briefly mention they have 2 distinct modes. Fresh from the starport, all Vikings are in what is called fighter mode. In this state, the Viking is an airborne air superiority unit. Its attack is comprised of 2 torpedo missiles, each dealing 10 damage, or 14 versus armored targets, to enemy air forces every 1.43 seconds at range 9. Once the skies have been cleared, you can feel free to transition the Vikings into their assault mode. The Vikings will land and be treated as ground units. Their attack changes to their Gatling cannons, which deal a total of 12 damage, or 20 versus mechanical targets, every 0.71 seconds to ground foes at range 6. Before I talk about usage, a few details. The first is the research that's available at the factory's tech lab once an armory is built. Smart servos. This will reduce the time that it takes for Vikings to transform between their 2 modes.
Research complete.
Why is that important? Detail number 2. Vikings can still take damage while they are transforming. They are considered air units during the transformation, no matter which way they're going, so only anti-air attacks will work, but for that transformation time, the Viking has no choice but to sit there and take the hits. Detail number 3, their damage and armor upgrades are located at the armory. Upgrading ship weapons will improve the damage for them in both their air and ground modes. They do not receive a benefit from vehicle weapons despite being a ground unit at times.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
Vikings are not usually built as a combat unit by themselves. They instead shore up weaknesses of other Terran units and are seen most commonly in TVT matches. They can be used as spotters for siege tanks. Their long attack and sight range in their anti-air mode allow for consistent poking or scouting of enemy forces. You can move your Vikings away from or towards enemies in between shots, so long as there's nothing else that you know you should be doing instead. Lastly, focus fire down priority air threats. Once the skies have been cleared, you can choose to press on and scout, or land the Vikings to help out your ground forces. Finally, do not underestimate the Vikings' potential for economic harassment. That extra damage to mechanical targets will decimate SCVs and probes. Good job, drones. Way to not be mechanical. Vikings serve a rather niche role in the Terran arsenal. Primarily used for the anti-air value, they are seen mostly as a support unit for other forces such as Marines or siege tanks. The only time to really build them in mass is as a response to a scary air build, such as the low-level Terran's no rush till 20 battlecruisers build. Their weaknesses include having to switch modes to hit ground or air targets, having a single target attack, the tendency to group up, and a slow movement speed. Yeah, really, it feels like they should be faster, but that's not the case. Generally speaking, you will want to overwhelm them, unleash some splash damage, or get a ground-to-air unit. Terran players, Vikings are incredibly common in TvT. Air control can be crucial in those longer matches, as it allows for optimal siege tank use, liberators, ravens to exist, etc. The good news is that TvT is already pretty well established. Marines will handle the Vikings easily, so long as there is not much else for them to deal with. If there are tanks too, explore your options. Perhaps a sacrificial Raven's interference matrix can help open the way. Or maybe you can hit somewhere else on the map to try and draw some forces away.
Not enough energy.
Another great option is the Thor. Since Vikings are not light units, you can just set the Thors to their high-impact cannon mode, which will deter Vikings from getting close, thanks to its superior range. Protoss, Vikings are one of the standard answers to both Colossi or Stargate units. I'll pose the question to you then, if Robo is no good, and Stargate is no good, which tech path should we look at? If you said Twilight Council, bingo. Blinkstalkers can handle low numbers of Vikings, fine enough, but you may need to help them focus their fire. For higher counts of Vikings, you will need to move up to the Templar tech. Storms have killed many a Viking back in the days of longboat raiding, and it is no different here. You can Psystorm the pack, and then let the Archons give them a shocking greeting. Bug builders, aside from the good old Pult Viking to harass overlords, it's pretty rare to see Vikings in TvZ. I can only think of one game I played in the past week, and it was because I built Broodlords. Spire Tech is the only reason to build Vikings, and even then, Mutas and Corruptors still just might win the fight. The first counter that I'm going to recommend is the Hydralisk. No, seriously. Ground to air, decent range, solid DPS. They're fine, so long as there are not any Marines, siege tanks, liberators, battle cruisers, or a random Psystorm. If you're looking for more options, the Viper's parasitic bomb has the potential to cause havoc among a group of Vikings. The full 120 damage may not kill them, but it will get them close enough. Yes, there are counterplay options on the table. The Terran could split off the bombed Viking, or just land the Vikings to avoid the damage. At the very least, you'll be forcing defensive micro, which may just win a well-timed engagement. Whether you use them to control the skies or to terrorize the surface dwellers, Vikings are a supremely welcome addition to the Terran arsenal, so long as they don't land next to an Ultralisk. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful and that you have a great day.